You have Sean McVay. He has one of the best quarterbacks of the past 15 years with a number of weapons behind a solid offensive line stage. So, especially for a 49ers defense that has struggled all year, it's going to be difficult to stop this offense.
Oh, for sure. I mean, so Puka, he played a little bit in that Week 18 matchup last year, but the only time he really played the Niners fully was last year, Week 2, when we played the Rams. It was his second game as a professional, Chase. Do you know his stat line? It's kind of crazy.
No.
15 catches on 20 targets for 147 yards, no touchdowns in one game. So what does that mean? The Niners couldn't cover him all day. Stafford went to him 20 times. He caught it 15 times. This was his second game as a pro. You could look at it two ways. The Niners had no idea who the fuck this guy was. They didn't game plan for him. Obviously, the Rams knew they had a stud. They just went to him because the Niners clearly didn't game plan for him. Had their cornerback 2 or 3 on him. The Niners really didn't know what was coming. You could look at it like that. Or you could look at it, Puka's a better receiver. Him and Stafford have more of a rapport. They know how to go at that Niners defense. I mean, when we played them in Week 3 this year, Tutu Atwell, 93 yards. Jordan Whittington, 28 yards. They were able to find guys without Kupp, without Puka. Now you insert Puka and Kupp into this game. I don't know how the Niners are going to cover him. I think it's going to be one of those things where you got to dominate the ball. You got to stymie the run. Kyren Williams, he seems to always struggle against the Niners. 2 games against us, about 3.7 yards per carry. It seems like they always, stop him up front. It's a little, I guess, misleading. You saw it in that first game, right? In that first half, they were stopping him. So, it was really low. And then in that second half, they kind of got it going, built it back up. They stuck to it, opened up the pass, opened up the play action. Tutu Atwell downfield. I'm expecting it with Puka and Kupp. Maybe that run game opens up. I mean, he's a crucial part to what the Rams do, right? He opens up that play action. He opens up like their entire pass game. I think the Niners got to stop him and worry about Puka. I mean, there's just so many mouths to feed, so many things they could come at you with. And I just don't know. I don't know how the Niners are going to match up. If they're just going to send Lenore on him, here's our best guy versus your best guy. We'll see how it goes. I don't love that matchup for Lenore. He's a dog. But it's going to be tough, man. I think the Rams present a lot of problems to this Niners defense, especially if they can't get home on Stafford.
So that's the thing, Sage, because let's just be honest. Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, if you don't get pressure on Matt Stafford, they're going to get open. I don't give a shit if it's Diamador Lenore, Mooney Ward from 2 years ago. They're going to get open. Do you see them in that game against Buffalo? They were just running all over the field. Nacua was
That was a one-off, but yeah, that was a one-off, but it was ridiculous. Like that they could actually put that on the field some weeks.
Nacua was open by 5 yards, it seemed, on every play. And Matt Stafford, we all knew what Matt Stafford was about 5 years ago. If you give him time, he'll kill you in the pocket. Not the most mobile guy. He's like 40 years old right now. So if you get any pressure on him, he's not going to be able to escape from the pocket. And that's going to be what the 49ers have to do. Nick Sorensen, you got to scheme up some blitzes because I don't think that the 4-man rush is going to be able to get to Stafford. And really, if you're able to bring the blitz and get pressure on Stafford, all the cornerbacks need to do is hold up for 3 seconds. Because then Stafford's going to get forced out of the pocket, is going to have to move on the run a little bit, and we know that that's not his game. So when it comes to this Niners defense, what they're going to have to do to stop the Rams, it's going to be a difficult test, but it all starts with getting pressure on Matt Stafford because when it comes to Kyren Williams in that run game, even though Kyren gets a lot of good fantasy numbers, don't you feel like they're not really that efficient of a run team? I feel like the Rams are never gashing people for like 7 yards a carry. He's not going on explosive runs, but he's the guy where it's 3rd and 2, maybe even like a 3rd and 4 or like 2nd and 4. He's going to pick up the first down a lot of times. He's a tough runner, but not really a running back that you're going to be scared like it's a Saquon where he's just going to break off big runs and you got to keep him contained. So I really think for this Niners defense, it all starts with just that D-line getting pressure on Stafford.
No, I agree. I mean, Kyron's never really given us fits. He's just he's a touchdown vulture. It seems like it's always on the right arm of Stafford to get them down the field. Let's see. I think last week against Buffalo, he had 29 carries, his most in the year by far, and he still didn't eclipse 100 yards. He's only eclipsed 100 yards on the ground twice this season. He's played all 14. or all 13, whatever it is. So he hasn't really been that effective as a runner. He's averaging 4 yards a carry, which isn't great, and he hasn't been hurt all year. So there's nothing that's hindering him. Maybe something comes out, who knows? But that Rams offensive line just hasn't been good. They run because they have to. It's part of their philosophy. When did it start to kill the Niners? Really, is in that second half when they were down and they started to pass, and they were finding guys like Tutu Atwell, finding guys like Jordan Whittington. Who was that guy from fucking Tyler Johnson, the guy they got from the Bucks?
Yeah, from the Buccaneers.
They were dicing us up with B-level players. This is when the Niners were still healthy on defense. Obviously, that secondary is a little bit more healthy. There was talks that maybe this was the week Greenlaw comes back. He's not back. I mean, you hope that Gross Matos and
Did he practice today? Do you know?
He was limited practice participant today.
That'd be awesome to get Dre back, but who even knows what he's going to be, man? Who even knows what Dre Greenlaw is going to be?
They said yesterday that now they're aiming for the Dolphins game to be his return. I don't know if anything came out about that, but Shanahan said he's going to talk to him, see how he feels. He said he still hasn't, quote-unquote, practiced with the team yet. So he's been practicing, but I think he's been doing his own stuff. So we'll see, man. I mean, that defense looked so good last week, but we mentioned it as soon as the game ended. Like, is that just the Bears or shit? Like, you got a team coming off hanging, 44 on Buffalo? 35, in the first, 5 minutes of that third quarter. They probably could have gone for 50 if they needed to, if their backs were against the wall like that. So on their best day, that offense looks as good as anyone. You can't get to Stafford, which the Bills couldn't do, and you saw what he did. So it comes down to the front four. It comes down to Sorensen. Like, how are you going to draw up pressure? Can Gross Matos do to Stafford what he did to Caleb Williams? Doesn't seem like Bosa is going to play. How do you generate that pressure? How do you get to this guy? Because he will fold. I mean, we saw it in years past when we played the Rams. How do we get him to turn the ball over? The pick sixes is when you got in his face. Was it the Fred Warner pick six, the Hufanga pick six? Like, you see it. You get in his face, he'll put the ball in danger. He's kind of like Kirk Cousins plus, in my opinion. He's just.
I was about to say.
Yeah,
I was about to say, think about the quarterbacks that the Niners have always done well against in the past. Matthew Stafford, Kirk Cousins, Jared Goff, the guys who can't really move around in the pocket and are just stationary quarterbacks. But one more point here, Sage, and you were kind of getting close to it earlier with bringing up Dre Greenlaw. Guys like Devondre Campbell, even Fred Warner with a fractured ankle right now. Guys in the secondary coming up trying to stop that run game. We saw it in the game against the Rams in that second half. We saw it against the Cardinals. All these games that we've blown. Missed tackles. So I don't know if it's something where you could fix it. You practice it the next couple days, and it helps you when you play on Thursday night. But that's something else the Niners need to do. Get pressure on Stafford, and don't fucking miss tackles, because Kyren Williams isn't really going to dice you up to the sidelines. Like, he's going to go right at you, and if you get a good shot at him, fucking bring him down. So that's going to be one thing, too. Just don't miss tackles. That's been something that's killed the 49ers all year and is going to end your season if you keep on doing it on Thursday.
Yeah, you got to show up. You got to show up to play. I mean, divisional game, your season's on the line. We didn't really get into it last week, but we kind of mentioned it lightly. What Kittle said after the game, right? They asked him, I forget who it was, but they asked him, like, what's different? Like, what was different in this team's performance? And he said, this is the first time since 2021 we're in the regular season we played desperate. You got to play desperate for the rest of the year, right? No bullshit. Like, what we saw against Green Bay, 15 missed tackles in the first half. That was a team that was lazy, whatever you want to say. That team we saw against the Bears, 7 sacks, not missing tackles, getting up on the line, bringing people down, That's what you got to have. You got to have it on a Thursday night, a divisional game, a team that they gave you some bulletin board material. You saw what McVay said. He said, let's go beat the fucking Niners, right? You got to punch them in the mouth.
Motherfuckers. I cannot stand these guys. I mean, just as a Niner fan, how do we feel about these guys? Because I fucking
to be
can't
honest with
stand
you,
them.
So